Hi.
Hi everyone! I'm here in Montreal and we are going to be having a little interview with a young lady who has been vegan now for how long?
2 years.
For 2 years. And what's your name?
Sofia.
Sophia. So Sophia is also a member of the LGBTQ community.
Yes.
And we thought that we would take the time because there's obviously so much to talk about when you're a vegan activist. But in particular, I find this is an interesting topic because obviously this segment of society, the demographic, it has often experienced some discrimination. And vegans who don't want to discriminate against animals sort of have made the link. And what do you think about that? Do you have any LGBTQ friends that you kind of hope will get it?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's a very interesting sort of parallel that goes on in the community because I feel like people should get it more because like we are a discriminated group. We are looked at differently by the rest of society. So I feel like people should make that connection that animals are also looked at differently in society and are looked at as less than and are discriminated against because of that. So as a lesbian, I made that link and feel that animals shouldn't be exploited, shouldn't be discriminated against, etc. And it makes sense to me just to be vegan and gay.
Right. Yeah. And so what did they say to you? Like, is there a particular, I don't know, a person that has said something to you that kind of really rubbed you the wrong way and you thought, why don't you see that? Or like in general, what's the main argument that they give?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like something a lot of people say within the community is that it's hurtful or it's inappropriate to compare the plight of LGBT plus people and the plight of animals. They don't see it as a parallel at all and feel that it's insulting to compare the two plights, which I don't feel is right because we are all sentient beings, right? We're all on this earth together, we're all part of nature, and I feel like everyone should be treated equally. And that's the whole point that we want in the LGBTQ community is to be treated equally, treated the same way straight people are treated, and not be looked at differently, not have to suffer in that way.
So in what way do they say to you that animals are different? Do they think that they actually just don't feel, or do they just not go further? Have you tried to push that argument a little bit? And just say, challenge them a bit. What have you...
Yeah, I haven't met too many LGBT plus people, like, in my real life. Like, there's a lot of, like, I'm mostly online with that sort of stuff. So, I mostly see the dialogue happening online instead of, like, in real life.
Yeah.
But the arguments that I do hear is that, like I was saying earlier, it's just not the same thing. People do like to say that animals aren't sentient and we are more intelligent, therefore we shouldn't treat them properly.
Right.
But I feel like most people who use that argument aren't being emotionally honest.
Do you find that they get angry with you, or
Definitely.
do they? It's
a lot of emotion-based logic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just thinking, and this is a very touchy subject as well. But when I was at the Animal Rights Conference in Virginia, 2 summers ago, there was a really interesting discussion about whether we should use the parallel of the Holocaust, because some people say the Holocaust never ended, it just changed species. And we had 2 elderly Jewish women who were both completely at opposite ends.
Really?
We were sitting in this huge room on the floor in a big circle. It was like a very dynamic talk.
Okay.
Because I was in the middle of writing a song and I was trying to figure out the lyrics, and I obviously don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time you want to push the thinking and the feeling a little bit, right? So I ended up using the word Holocaust in one of the songs that I wrote because this a Jewish woman pointed out to me, you should.
Okay.
It's the same.
Well, it's oftentimes when people feel uncomfortable, that they're challenged and feel the need to change. And that's where like the cognitive dissonance comes into play, where people will feel uncomfortable, so they either will do one of two things. They'll either change their actions, which is like obviously what we want to do, or they'll make up an excuse for why they're doing their action, and that's what cognitive dissonance is, right?
That's right.
So yeah.
And you'll often wonder, because if they start to argue against it, then sometimes, you know, they sort of reinforce their ideas, but at the same time it can work the opposite, where they can say it, and then as they're saying it, they realize there's something sort of going on, and there's the ego, so they're not going to change right away, but when they go home and they're on their pillow, they're like, wait a second, this doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah, it'll play over in their mind. They'll think about what they said, about like how that made them feel, and like what they looked like really saying those things.
Right. And so last year, a bunch of us vegans walked in the parade. It was so much fun. I was filming the whole thing, and it was it's such a great way to do vegan activism, because you're just got wall to wall people who are totally for and happy to be supporting this demographic that has been oppressed.
Exactly.
And so when you bring out the signs and you say, hey, we support you guys, and by the way, this is a giant group of vegans here, and you could see they're like, oh, they're sort of like, okay, yeah, I guess, you know, and you could see their heads are sort of messed up, right?
Yeah, I didn't even know about that. I didn't know that was a thing that could be done, but obviously that's amazing. Like, for sure.
I hope to see you in there this year. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say before we end the interview, or something you'd like to, a message you would give to the LGBT community, BT community, to sort of encourage them, a video to watch, or something that really struck you?
Well, I just say, like, really look into it, because it is worth it, in my opinion, and factually, there's no reason not to be vegan, especially nowadays. Whether you're poor, rich, black, white, whatever, there's no reason not to be vegan. And yeah, there's so many resources online nowadays. Vegan22.com.
Right,
I mean,
and Netflix has, of course, Conspiracy, Forks Over Knives, and there's Earthlings, which is on YouTube, and Dominion Movement, a lot of great information that will like tear at your heartstrings, and you know, get you in your head to realize, wow, I can do this. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
and
you.
I really would love to interview you again also in the future, maybe after the parade.
Yeah. Love to. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Say bye.
Bye.